Jesus was baptized in the Jordan River near Jericho by John the Baptist, and then began his public ministry.
The most important of the river, because our Lord Jesus was baptized in the river Jordan toward Jericho area, not in this area in the Galilee, no.
Have you ever been to the spot where he was baptized?
Yes, sir. We used to go to the baptismal site before 67. It's a very beautiful place where John did baptize our Lord near Jericho.
Why can't we do that today?
Well, because of the river Jordan is the line between Jordan and Israel, and that is the area, the reason. It's a military area. Nobody can get down there since 67.
And after his baptism, Jesus went out into the wilderness for 40 days of solitude and temptation, probably somewhere in the mountains west of Jericho. Jesus came back to Jericho a number of times during his ministry. He called Zacchaeus down out of the sycamore tree, and he healed blind Bartimaeus. Herod the Great had a summer palace here at Jericho, and it's recently been excavated.
One of Herod's greatest palaces was right here in Jericho. It was his winter palace that was built from bricks with plaster and stucco that he oftentimes painted. Even the columns were fluted with plaster.
This was unusual construction for Herod, brick instead of stone. Here is a circular bath with brick walls around it. And here are columns made of bricks. These walls and columns would have been plastered and painted to look like marble, like this column. And here is a column fluted with plaster. Why a winter palace in Jericho?
It is warm in the winter, even though 15 miles from here in Jerusalem, it might be a snow blizzard.
During the winter, Herod entertained Roman dignitaries here when they came through the Bible land. This was a large palace covering 3 acres with buildings and courtyards, gardens and fountains. As a Jew, Herod practiced the ceremonial washings required by the purity laws, so every palace had to have mikvot or baptistries.
Here in Jericho, Herod had a number of mikvaot with a water system that flowed from one into the other in order to preserve the water flowing while people were taking their ritual baths. Ritual baths were taken for preservation and keeping of the Old Testament purity laws.
100 years earlier, the Maccabean kings had a winter palace here, and Herod the Great incorporated some of these Maccabean buildings in his own palace.
Herod the Great died here in this palace, and after his death, his body was carried to Herodium, another one of his great palaces, and there he was buried. In Herodium, archaeologists have recently been excavating and looking for his tomb, but the precise spot of his tomb has not yet been discovered.
Midway between Jerusalem and Jericho, there are the ruins of a Roman inn. This entrance is from Crusader days, but the Roman walls are from Jesus' day. Look at the large stone rings in the wall where they would have tied the animals. Jesus told a story about a man going down from Jerusalem to Jericho. He was beaten by robbers, and the Good Samaritan took him to an inn, and this may be that very inn.